Hello everybody and welcome to another edition of Poland Daily Travel, this time from Suwałki, the beautiful town on the edge of the border of Poland and Lithuania. It's a town of artists too. There's been a number of very distinguished artists from Suwałki. One of them is Czesław Miłosz, the Nobel Prize winning, mostly poet, but also writing essays and other things. Well known and esteemed for his poetry. Lived a long time in the United States and was a professor there. And Maria Konopnicki, who was a poet in the 19th century. There's a museum for her here, and she's considered one of the patron saints of the town, if you will, secular saints. And of course, this fellow, Andrzej Wajda, who was born in Suwałki, and who remains perhaps the most distinguished of all Polish film directors. Although it seems a bit fatuous to compare great directors, there have been so many, and you still have Agnieszka Holland and Roman Polanski. Say what you will about some of his extracurricular activities, a great director, and Agnieszka Holland still producing fine material. Krzysztof Kieślowski as well, one of the greats, and there's so many. I could go on for half an hour talking about the great Polish directors, but Andrzej Wajda, born in Suwałki, and became, I suppose, from the 50s, one of the esteemed European directors in the world. He made a number of historical films and a number of films about Polish struggle for independence. He was famous for those kind of films. The Polish struggle against Russian, Prussian occupiers before the wars as well as after the wars. Promised Land, Obecnie Ziemia, or Ziemia Obecnie, is the great Wajda film. I believe it's based set in Łódź, the great manufacturing city of the late 19th century. And most of the action takes place there. The Promised Land is well worth watching. And Ashes and Diamonds, as I said before. Perhaps his greatest two films, but by no means the only very, very fine films that he did. And here's an exhibition to Andrzej Wajda, and they're planning a film festival with a collection of his films. You'll see the Cultural Center that we were shooting in the background is behind me now again, but from a different side. We're on the south side, and the south side of the city by the river, the Czarna Hańcza. This river, that's actually one of the locks right there. You can see the level is higher on the other side and lower on this side, and not very navigable. It's very shallow here. I don't suppose there's a lot of canoeing through here, but on the other side you could. It's very pleasant. The Czarna Hańcza River runs from the lake, the Hańcza Lake, which is about 15 kilometers to the north of us, that direction. And it's the deepest lake in Poland at about 100 meters. And this is the Maria Konopnicka Museum. I mentioned her before in a previous episode. And she is an extremely important poet and writer, and an early advocate for women's rights. This is a representation of the lady herself, and we're standing in front of her museum, which is also a municipal library, I believe. But at any rate, this is the museum where they have lots of exhibits related to her. She was active in the writing in the second half of the 19th century up until about 1910. Never saw the First World War. And though she was born here, she eventually moved to Galicia, which was more open, being under the Austrians instead of the Russians, who were always extremely repressive, just as they seem to be today. And she is buried in Lwów. But a great advancer of women's rights, as I said, and a writer of children's books, as well as famous poetry. The reason most of you have heard of Suwałki is because it's been in the news with the Polish president and the Lithuanian president meeting on the border of Poland and Lithuania to discuss the threat posed to both countries from the Russian attack on the Ukraine and any further moves that the Russians might make. Of course, this is a likely area. The Suwałki Gap, the Suwałki Corridor as it's known, the area between Belarus and Kaliningrad, the Russian exclave of Kaliningrad. Of course, fear is that the Russians would attack from both Kaliningrad and from Belarus and meet up in the middle, about here, about in this area. So there are many, many troops here. This looks like a peaceful place. It is. It's a beautiful town. It's a town of churches. It's a town of history. It's a town of many different religions. In fact, there's a cemetery here with Jewish and Muslim and Orthodox and Catholic and Evangelical or Protestant, all in the same cemetery. And that just goes to show that multiculturalism, as it's called, is nothing new, certainly not in this part of the world. But bigotry still stands, bigotry of the kind the Russians are practicing. We have the history of this area that stands against that. And the beauty of it, I mean, this is really, seriously, one of the nicest municipal parks I've seen in the country of Poland, but it fits anywhere in Europe. It's just gorgeous. And you can see here that this is called the Arcadia Lake. Nice bicycle path going. And you just take off across this nice bridge. There's a little bathing pond and a beach over here. But you take off across the bridge and you end up in a little island across there. It really is well imagined, well thought out. And you can see that this is a town built for leisure. It's built for relaxation. It's built to come, breathe deeply, relax, get away from the cares of your normal life in the city, for people like me anyway, and have time to think about life, think about the things that are important to you, and think about what's going on in the world in a calm atmosphere. We've rolled up right in the middle of the Suwałki Blues Festival. The Suwałki Blues Festival, which is the most famous blues festival in Poland. I don't know exactly why they have it here, but they do, and I know it's a good one. Blues have their place in Poland because blues always come out of people under pressure. The whole origin of blues in the South was from the black people singing songs about what it was like to be not free or to have hard times and not to be free to do and live as you wanted to live. Behind me is the Billy Bob Porter Blues Band. That's not the name of it, but that's what I'm calling them because I didn't see their name. We just were walking by. It's not the main stage, but it's one of the stages. And it sounded kind of fun, so we thought we'd let you hear a little. It's a 4-day festival, Thursday to Sunday. Yeah, he's wailing a little bit, you think?